It's a Wales through a goal, slots it beyond Fodringham, and the Millers are in front in the South Yorkshire derby. And for the first time in 42 years, Rotherham United win at Bramall Lane. On the edge of the box for Doffin, he can hit them, and he does. Oh! Doffin has scored an absolute screamer for Rotherham United. Rotherham United have secured their championship status for next season.
Drop me off in Rotherham.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to New York Talk. This is the Rotherham United podcast. I have a different name by the end of it, something to do with referees or imaginary yellow cards or something like that. There was a draw yesterday, game in Rotherham, 2-2. We will talk about it in as much detail as we can. Danny's with us. How are you doing, Danny?
I'm doing good. I've not missed Mick's referent yet, have I?
Not yet, no. Not one that's recorded anyway.
Oh, okay.
Mick's with us. How are you doing, Mick?
Yeah, I'm all right, mate. Thank you. You?
I'm wonderful.
Good.
Thank you that's with us. Make sure you subscribe if you are watching for the first time. Make sure you like the video as well. Please do that as well. We appreciate that. We are going to talk about the game. 4 goals to talk about. I'll put a limit on the amount of referee talk. We're going to start with the referee talk. We're going to get it out of the way. I think we can get it done within half an hour. I don't want to spend more than 30 minutes on the referee.
Do you want me to put an alarm on just in case, Matt?
Yeah, I'll set a timer. And the reason I'm saying that is I think there's a lot of good points from our performance yesterday to pick out. I think there's some real positives to take out from a Rotherham United perspective. So we're going to have the most half an hour ref chat. He says now. Where's my timer? 30 minutes. So we sort of reckon, yeah? 30 minutes. 30 minutes is on. Steve Adams in the comments. Is 7 bookings in one match and not one of them for a foul being some kind of record? Chris Nichols is fuming in Australia. YouTube says Evening Gentle still fuming over the farce. Donna in the Splashhead Swimming School still fuming, even more so after watching the Premier League games and the celebrations and the no bookings. Yeah. Shelley RUC with the word of the day or part of the word of the day, inconsistency. There's loads of people in the comments. If the show goes over 30 minutes, Mick will give a yellow card.
I used to have some referee cards somewhere as well. That's amazing.
So we'll talk about the specifics of the Rotherham United part, the specific Rotherham United performances and whatnot in a bit. We have to start with the refereeing performance and the yellow cards and the red cards and the non-yellow cards as we speak. Let's start with the Anya Dimna situation, Danny. I think that's the easiest place to start. It's not because Mick's got a presentation coming up, but we'll go with it.
Please tell me you've actually done a PowerPoint on it, Mick. Please tell me you have.
You'll see.
You'll see.
Oh my! I'm looking forward to this already.
So we've all known for quite a long time, for several seasons, that going into the crowd is a yellow card for celebrating a goal. So sadly, that is the right decision for the first one. Let's start with that.
I mean, just for the record, right? Because I wasn't at the game because I was a bit of a baby and I was too tired from getting in from work at 2:00. But did he go over the barrier into the crowds?
No.
Or was he at the barrier? Like you know,
he was at the bar things, if you know what I mean.
So he's not in the crowd then, is he?
Well, he was hugged by some crowd members, I think.
Right, but he's gone over the advertising boards, but he's not actually gone into the crowd or took his shirt.
He's gone in that gap, in the corner of the gap where there's no advertising boards.
Right.
He's gone into that and he's stood in front of the crowd and he's been pushed into.
But he's not gone over. But he's not gone over the big railing that's there.
No.
Right. Okay. So he shouldn't be booked then, because he's not actually in the stands, is he? He's off the pitch, but he's not in the stands.
He shouldn't be booked. The laws of the game say
Here's a question. You remember when Manuel Benson scored what he thought was the winning goal for Burnley, and he actually jumped over the boards and was getting hugged by all the fans and everything? Did he get booked?
Not a clue. I can certainly find that out.
Because I will retract my argument if he got booked for that, right? Because it's the same situation. But if he wasn't booked for that, then Onyedinma shouldn't have been booked for his. And we'll leave that just swinging there until Matt finds out.
I could tell you
Mick
that
has
the
done
law
some.
says-
Mick's done some research. Go on, Mick.
Yeah, well, the law says it's a yellow card if he climbs onto the perimeter fence, which he didn't do, and or approaches the spectators in a manner that causes safety and or security issues. It did neither of those. So therefore, it is not a yellow card. Simple as that.
So based on the laws of the game, it's not a yellow card.
Correct.
Based on consistency, Matt, is it a yellow card after what happened with Benson?
Benson did get a yellow card.
Right.
So the reason for the rules is it's a safety issue. The reason for the rules are in place, and not only for a safety issue for the players, because it's dangerous to jump over things and dangerous to get in the middle of piles of people. It's dangerous for the crowd, because if you have a player running towards the crowd, you have a potential crush of people rushing towards a small area. That's the reason the rules in place. That's the reason. It's a safety issue.
It would be a safety issue if you weren't running towards disabled area. So that's not going to happen by definition.
But can the referee? I don't know if they're. I don't know what the referee can take into account from that.
The point is, doesn't say may cause a safety issue. It says causes, not may. It causes, and the wording's important. And this is why I bang on about it all the time. The wording of it is important, and it doesn't say it might cause a safety issue. It says causes one, and it didn't. End of. That's the law.
Very much on the wording of
It's
these
important.
things. It is important. There was what was also a thing I think is again important to point out. There was an incident in the Newcastle game yesterday where one of the players went to the crowd and hugged another fan, and that wasn't given as a yellow card. I haven't seen the Emerson Royale. I've seen somebody today tweet that Emerson Royale went to the Spurs crowd today. I haven't seen that, but there's somebody saying that he went into the crowd and again didn't get booked for that.
I'm just putting this out there. Is consistency actually in the referee's dictionary?
No,
I don't know.
I really don't think it is.
And this is an issue that you got referees, and this is more to the point maybe with the second yellow card, that you've got different referees being harsher or not harsher with the implementation. Bobby Madley's clearly it take on it is clearly if he's gone near the crowd, for me that is a safety issue. That's how he's seen it. That's why he's given him a yellow card. But then you've got other issues in the same weekend of a similar incident, which are not yellow cards. And I understand it's a different referee. I think it was another Madley.
it was Andrew Madley. He's his brother, the Newcastle player.
Yeah,
Christmas dinner still in their house, isn't it?
I think most people don't agree with is it's a rubbish rule. Rules shouldn't really exist. I don't think. Anyway, I don't like the rule. I think technically it's probably the right decision. Technically, but there you go. We have disagreements on it. I think you two just got one word answer. Are you all in agreement that shouldn't be a rule?
No, I think it should be. I think it
should be.
It's going to cause a safety issue, clearly. You know, if you're running into away supporters, for example, you know, or the away end, or I think under those circumstances it should be. But if it causes an issue, then it should be, without a doubt. But
yeah, I've got no issue with the rule either. But it's there in black and white when they go up, when they climb over the perimeter fence. Now, all right, football stadiums haven't had fences since, what is it, like 1990 in this country or something like that. But at New York Stadium, there's quite a defined perimeter between what can be perceived as the playing area and what is perceived as a fan area, because there's about a 4-foot drop between where the fans are down to pitch level. Now, to me, that's the perimeter fence or wall or whatever. And if he hasn't climbed over that, he's just gone to it and got hugged by people. He's not gone over the fence. So by black and white rules, he's not gone over it, so shouldn't be booked for it. If he climbed over and then was in it with everybody, then no issue. But you look at the times when players have been celebrating with the crowd and they've gone onto the pitch, right? That's a completely different issue, granted, but they've still celebrated with fans and nothing's happened. So it's like whenever the player goes to the fans, then it's a booking. It's like, iffy. Like, I've seen players celebrating that end time after time, and players go over the advertising boards time after time, especially at the away end when they've scored late equalisers. I'm looking at you, Sheffield Wednesday, and they've not had any booking or anything. But as soon as our player does it, he gets booked for it. Now, I think in Bobby Madley's head, he's done the right thing because based on some stuff that he gave, it was the letter of the law.
Yeah, it was so straight.
Sort
some
of thing.
Of it,
yeah. Well, it was certainly to us anyway. Yeah. But with that, that's almost like an over-enforcement because he's actually undermined what's written in black and white and gone, oh, he's just celebrated with crowds, that's a bookie, when actually he's not climbed the perimeter fence. Some stadiums, you can understand it. For example, at Goodison Park, where you are legit at eye level with the pitch, or Stamford Bridge, or things like that, where you're more at eye level with the pitch, I get it. Right, that law needs to be in place because it's legit. Hop over the advertising boards and you're in the crowd. Whereas with the newer stadiums, like New York Stadium, that almost has been purpose built to stop players jumping into the crowd, that's when it's a bit, really, really.
Yeah, ultimately, it's not hooked, and you can see potentially why he's booked him because the rule is not clear, or it can be interpreted differently, can't it?
Yeah.
So,
Matt Miller says the law states that a player must be cautioned if approaching spectators, and that causes a safety issue. In that respect, Mick is correct.
Look, we're wasting time here we're wasting our 30 minutes. Valuable.
We are. Let's move on.
We've got 20 minutes left.
Here we have 20 minutes, 16 seconds, Mick. Second yellow card within like a minute. I've never seen a 90 seconds like it, to be honest with you, ever at New York Stadium or Millmore or Don Valley. The second yellow card, Fred, I would almost say playfully, but jokingly suggested that Bobby Madley should have booked the Blackburn player. There wasn't any aggression in it. Certainly was no aggression from Fred. Bobby Madley took that upon himself to book him. Now, if you read any article from any newspaper or any media outlet from the start of the season, they will tell you that one of the things they are enforcing is the imaginary waving of yellow cards. That's in those articles. If you can get past the adverts in them, they're in the articles. There is an issue with that, though, Mick, isn't there?
There is. Now, I've done a bit of research, and this is not. I've got a list of articles and a list of websites where this is official websites where this part of the rule is explained to everybody. Instead of me reading through it all, this is no good for audio listeners. But
shall I get some popcorn?
No, you'll be fine. You'll be fine. I've created a list, an extensive list on a PowerPoint slide of all the mentions of the waving of an imaginary yellow card in the laws of the game, in the PGML guidelines, and in the I5 guidelines. So I'll just put it on screen now. So that's the list of all the mentions of waving an imaginary card. As you can see, it's quite extensive. So we start at number. There isn't a number one, is there? Or two or three. There are no mentions that I can find. Now I've only spent 20 minutes looking, but there may be mentioned in articles by Sky or by Daily Mirror or whoever, but there are no mentions that I can find anywhere that this is a cautionable offence for a player. It is a cautionable offence for an official, manager, coach, etc. who persistently and excessively wave an imaginary yellow card. It is not listed anywhere within the laws of the game or any of the guidelines that I can find. And I'm not saying I've obviously not researched everything because I didn't have time. It's not mentioned anywhere. I can't find a mention of it. So I know people, and lots of people bang on about this. Don't they? It's not right. It's not right. They should be yellow carded. We don't bang on about people diving all over the place, and we save that. But waving an imaginary yellow card apparently is nasty or is worthy of a yellow card. It's bizarre. in my view. I can't find anywhere that says that is against any of the laws of the game anywhere.
Yeah, so the PGMOL put out, and I sent this link to our group chat. The PGMOL, the FA, sent out a statement which is love the game, protect the games. There's no briefing for the season, and it has your things about respecting the referee, player behaviour, and things such as that. And there's things about not crowding the referee. Not crowding the referee is one, and things such as that. There's nothing in there. Again, it's wording. There's nothing in there about yellow cards. Look, Danny, you shouldn't do it. The bottom line is we've been briefed. It may not be in technically laws. It may not be there, and I agree with Mick. It's not there, but he shouldn't do it. We've all been told on Sky Sports News, on BBC News, on whichever football podcast you may listen to, and media outlet, we've been told that this is an issue. Mikel Arteta got booked for it last week at the Community Shield. In the showpiece event of last weekend, Mikel Arteta is a manager.
That's in the law of the game.
Yeah, but he got booked for it. So you've got to, although we'll talk about whether Baba had to or not, but Fred's got to take the responsibility on that one because he will have been briefed that is an issue.
I mean, this is one of the few clips I've seen back because it was impossible not to see it on social media afterwards with the absolute correct uproar, in my opinion, as well. But my interpretation of it, it's a funny way to wave an imaginary card at a referee, isn't it? By doing that to somebody. For the audio listeners, I'm sorry, but he sort of like holds up his hands really close to his face like that. Now, to me, holding a yellow card, your finger on your thumb and you're waving it like that's a booking, which is exactly what Arteta did. He legit waved an imaginary card, which, like Mick says, by the laws of the game, gets the manager booked. Fair enough, no issue with that.
If it's persistent and excessive.
Exactly. See, he has done his research. Good man. But with Onyedinma, it's like he's as if saying to the referee that were a close one, right? Because you watch the clip back and his fingers almost pinched together, and it's legit like he's going, "That's a close one," right? Whether that's contact wise or whatever, and it's as if Bobby Madley's just in the split second gone, "Oh well, he's waving an imaginary card," and then booked him for it because Onyedinma's got a smile on his face, walking away.
He's laughing about it. Yeah.
So in his head, he has not waved a card whatsoever. Right, and I refuse to believe that a footballer who has been briefed on the new rules on his home debut, who is already on a yellow card for something daft, perceived to be daft, would do that. Right, I refuse to believe that. He has done something, and it has been misinterpreted by Bobby Madley, and then he's been sent off for it. I refuse to. I actually seeing the clip back. I refuse to believe he has waved an imaginary yellow card at him because the way he holds his hand and the way he's actually reacted to it, he isn't waving an imaginary card. There isn't a fit of anger there. He's just going, "Oh, that were a close one." Whether that's contact wise or reckless challenge wise or whatever it is. I don't think he's waving an imaginary card. I think Madley's misinterpreted that. And I think if the Referees Association watches it back, they will get that same interpretation as well.
Well, I mean,
that's another apology in the post. Way.
My immediate thought at the time was that that's exactly what he'd done. He'd waved imaginary card, and so we knew immediately he was going to be sent off. It was, and listen, if that's the way Madley has interpreted both those incidents, so be it. I'm not, and despite the fact that I've made some comments there about whether or not I think he's interpreted them correctly or not, that's the way he's interpreted them. 2 yellow cards, off you go, see you later. I'm not going to argue with it. Genuinely, I'm not going to argue with it. He's made his decision, off you go, fine, move on. And we did move on, didn't we?
We did move on. I'll just pick up a couple of comments on this. Mike Miller says, "Sorry, Mick, waving an imaginary card would fall under unsportsmanlike behaviour and also an action which shows lack of respect for the game."
I get that, Mike. Mike, and yeah, I can see that, and I can see that's the catch-all. However, again, we then start to talk. We could do a whole episode on this, couldn't we? We then start to talk about other things that are unsportsmanlike that continually go unpunished. And feigning injury and throwing yourself on the floor constantly is another one that is just utterly ignored. It's
completely. What about kicking ball away?
Can I just say with the yellow card thing, right? I know people said I'm clutching at straws. I mean, I've got the hindsight. I've been able to see it from the TV camera's perspective, and that's just my interpretation. I don't think it's waving a card. However, waving an imaginary card, if we all look on the IOFC hashtag whilst we're live at the minute, something in the Chelsea-Liverpool game, you can legit see he's waving an imaginary yellow card, and he is not booked for it.
McAllister got booked.
But I'm actually not sure
McAllister.
which player it is, to be
Chelsea
honest, but
players,
he definitely waves a card,
It's
and he's not booked.
Yeah. That sort of sequence of events didn't really change the game. It changed the way we had to play.
Yeah.
But they were not the game-changing issues. What that little sequence resulted in was the referee losing control. I was going to say losing control of the game. I don't think he necessarily lost control of the game. I think he lost control of himself.
Yeah.
He just because he was straight over to book Matt Taylor. 2 minutes later, he was back over to book Wayne Carlisle. And then we had the utter debacle that followed. It went mad.
Yeah. So this
actions following those yellow card, the yellow and the red, that I have the most issue with.
If nothing else would have happened in terms of what we're going to talk about next, I think we could have all maybe half accepted the Fred red card.
Yeah.
We can argue whether it should be right or this, that, and the other, but I can see why he's given 2 yellow cards. I don't have a massive problem. I don't like it, but I don't have a huge problem with those 2 yellow cards. The problem comes with the kicking the ball away. Now, again, this is for people that weren't at the game. We'll give a brief rundown of it. Just before half time, Dexter Limbikisa kicked the ball away. Now, there was a debate at the time whether it was before or after the whistle, but on replay, the referee blew his whistle. We were 1-0 up, obviously, and Dexter Limbikisa kicked the ball away towards the goal, and the referee booked him. Now, again, this is very clear in the guidelines. I think I'm pretty sure it's very clear in the rules, probably, about kicking the ball away. It's a time-wasting offence, and Dexter Limbikisa was 100% correctly booked. I don't think that you'll find a single Rotherham fan or football fan in general that says that's not good. I think that's a good implementation. I think that's a really good change for this season. That should be a booking. I think that's really good, along with a few other things. The issue comes that around 5 minutes after the Fred red card, the same thing happened with Sammy Smodics, who the referee blew the whistle. Sammy Smodics kicked the ball away, whether he was attempting a cross or whatever else. The ball was kicked away after the whistle had gone. And Sammy Smodics wasn't booked for that. Victor got booked for asking for a yellow card. Don't think there was a hand gesture. But Victor got booked for asking for questioning the referee, which is I don't like. You should be able to question the referee. But that's another point completely. And that's the thing, Mick. He was already on a yellow card. If anyone didn't know, Sammy Smodics was already on a yellow card. Sammy Smodics would then go on to score both goals, which Blackburn scored, and there goes the game. Mick, this is the one that's got me all day, and I've struggled to shake it off from last night. To be honest with you, the Smodics should have gone. That's a yellow card. Bobby Madley proven 20 minutes later it was a red card.
The referee in that instance have got absolutely no excuse whatsoever. And what I would say is, by the fact that he decided he was going to book Victor for complaining about it, he knows that should have been a yellow card. He must do. Because Victor didn't go, all Victor did was point at him.
Yeah.
All he did was point at the player and got booked for it. He should have been given another yellow card. There is no question, absolutely no question whatsoever. He kicked the ball away in exactly the same fashion as Dexter did in the first half. Exactly the same, almost in exactly the same place on the pitch, just on the opposite touchline. It was almost a carbon copy, and it was the game-changing decision. Instead of booking the player that should have been booked, he booked our goalkeeper, and that changed the game. That player who should have gone off, who should have saw red, went on to score 2 goals, and there is I can't I'm the same as you. I am even now 24 and a bit hours later. I'm absolutely livid about it because we talk about it and talk about it and talk about it. If you're gonna implement these new rules and new interpretations of the rule, absolutely fantastic, not a problem. Do it all the time, and we're not doing it all the time. Victor didn't run towards the referee. I know Mike's put there. He ran in the general direction of the referee. I don't think he got within 20 yards of him, unlike the Blackburn players in the first half when the alleged elbowing incident happened that didn't, where the Blackburn players were right next to the referee berating him. So here's what it is, isn't it? You know, it's so frustrating. So frustrating. Yeah. And we're scuppered again. We've lost another player through a suspension, you know, and it's just wrong. It's just wrong. There's no way we should have lost that game yesterday, because essentially that's what we did. We lost the game, but we got a point. And we lost the game genuinely, in my view, through no fault of our own.
I don't know if it should be pointed out, but for as many news readers would say, for balance, Sammy Smodics he honestly believes that he kicked the ball before the whistle had gone, which means he is the worst crosser of the ball this side of the penalty.
What he believes is irrelevant, isn't it?
It is. Yeah.
He genuinely believe that.
Andre Green believes that he meant that goal against Sheffield United.
Yeah.
He may genuinely believe he did, but he didn't.
No.
And that's the fact. So, anyway, whatever.
That's the end of the refereeing incidents, I think. Danny, just your final thoughts on that one. It's a consistency thing, and that's the key thing. It's a consistency issue, that incident.
The one difference between Lembikisa and Smod, I can't even say his name. I've been trying to say it all day. I can't say his name. That Blackburn player will say, is that Lembikisa wasn't on a booking already. So he kicked it away. So it was far more viable and less game changing for him to be booked for it. Whereas Smodrix was on a yellow card. So by consistency's sake, you've booked Odeyinma for 2 things and he's been sent off, right? But then suddenly it comes to Smodrix doing it, and it's for a petty little thing, new law of the game, blah blah, and then he doesn't do it. But like probably in Madley's own head, that's probably gone. Like it's not enough of a game changing event to warrant another yellow card or something. I don't know. We've seen it before though, where players have been booked and they do something else where they're already on a booking, and they don't book them because it means
you mean like if somebody was to say, I don't know, say wave an imaginary card.
Yeah, exactly. Just for consistent, for balance. Yeah, but then it turns out to be a huge game-changing event, because I don't know if Smodrix's first one was actually given to Kelly as an own goal. I've not checked, if I'm being honest.
Oh, yeah.
It's a bit.
Well, we've still got another one to go through here, haven't we?
Yeah, it's a bit 50-50, and then Smodrix has won after. But for me, again, consistency. If he has kicked it after the whistle, which by reason it sounds like he has,
looks like he has, yeah.
Then it should be another book and he should be sent off.
Yeah,
that's it.
Come on.
Yeah, we are running out of time on this. We've got 3 minutes left.
No, that's plenty of time. You can do a lot in 3 minutes.
Keep 11 men on the pitch this season? Probably not.
It's highly unlikely, isn't it?
And then the second goal is not the referee's fault. The linesman has given a corner for the ball that didn't go out, Mick. It's probably not the most frustrating out of the lot, but it's as equally frustrating. The linesman guessed if the ball's gone out or not. The referee and the linesman's made a mistake and scored from a corner. Just to drive that dagger into any sort of faint hope we had.
I think it's at the point that the linesman's flag pointed towards
first goal. First
goal. The point that the linesman's flag pointed towards the corner, I look back at that now and then think about it. Given the fact that he pointed to the corner flag while they were about 3 yards away from it.
Yeah.
I look back at that now and I start to look at some of these daft comments, and they are daft comments on on social media about, not wanting us in this league and everything else. And you look at it and you think, I can see why people say that.
I can see why people get to that point.
Is absolutely no way can he possibly have been in any position at all to give that corner. He cannot. He cannot. Because I said it on the post-match last night, in order to see whether that ball's gone out, he's got to see through 8 or 9 players, plus the whole length of Victor's body. He does not know whether or not that ball has gone out or not. Therefore, he cannot give a corner. He can't see it. It's impossible. Absolutely impossible. It's not up for debate. He can't see it. And he's given it. And it didn't go out. And that's what's most frustrating. If Victor sort of picked it up out of play and just hooked back in and
he didn't move back forward, Victor.
He never shifted. The ball did not go out of play. But the linesman gave it from a position where he could not possibly have seen it. Even if there'd have been no other players in between him and Victor, he couldn't have given it.
Yeah.
And again, obviously, that's they went on to score from that, from the player that should have been sent off. And this is why it gets so frustrating.
Yeah.
And it's God. Look, again, I'll say it again. I know it's a difficult job. I know, and I would not do it for a gold pig. But if I had to do it, one of the things I would try and live by is if I'm not sure, I'm not giving it. And there's too many times where it just I don't know. Honestly, man, it's absolutely ruined my weekend this weekend.
I'm exactly. Today's been horrendous. Honestly, my mood has been horrific. I can't tell how many times my wife's gone today. Are you all right?
Yeah, exactly
fine. Jalen Simpson says, "Love Matt Taylor's." Oh, hang on, timer. That's a timer. I'll just read the comments in the comments section, and we'll move on to the actual football that happened. Jalen Simpson, love Matt Taylor's comment that they saw him kick a bottle from 2 yards away, but couldn't see when the ball had left the pitch. I was quite impressed with Matt Taylor's post-match, to be honest with you. If you watch the Rob Staten tweet, you can see the anger in Matt Taylor. It's really obvious. You can see the frustration.
Why can you see the steam coming off his head?
He just sort of sits there with his head in one hand, and you can feel it. But all his answers were really, really good. He was nice and calm and cool. It was a pretty impressive post-match, to be honest. Mike in the middle. We'll finish with this one because I think this is the right thing. Perhaps we should be questioning some of the laws of the game rather than the bloke who tries to interpret them. Sometimes are very hard, and that I think, Mike, that's mainly our point for the Fred incidents. Yeah. That's the Fred incident is not a dig at Bobby Madley, certainly from me and I think Mick and Danny. The Fred incident is a laws of the game issue. The Smodics one's a Bobby Madley issue, but
Can I just leave my final 2p on this and then we'll move on
quickly?
You can tell the officiating was horrific when even Les Payne is losing his rag with them.
Yeah. Anyway, so just on yellow cards. This is not about the referees, it's about yellow cards, Danny. Do we need to change our way? And the reason I say that is if you look at the first weekend of the Premier League, the first 2 weekends of the Championship, the first 2 weekends of the League One, we are the only team to have man sent off for 2 yellow cards. League One has had 3 or 4. Is it a Rotherham issue, or are we just misinterpreting the rules, or is it just unlucky that the situation?
I mean, there's a funny answer that I can give, but I think there's also an answer I can give which is a bit more logical. The funny answer is that they don't seem to know how to make the cheating subtle when it comes to us.
Okay.
But my other answer is it almost looks like everybody, like the way I've interpreted it, especially with the Championship, because I think we were the only team to have got a single red card like on that game week, and the only team to have got, like you said, 2 red cards, both from 2 sets of yellows over the whole season so far. It almost seems like everybody else is clued up on the new rules, but us. I don't know how true that is. That's just how it appears to be, right? Based on the Blackburn game, it does seem to be a very strict enforcement, right?
But we've not clued up.
Yeah, but it's almost like we've not cottoned on to that yet. And maybe that will be the case in future. Maybe it's a case of we need to learn it the hard way. And maybe this is the start of learning it the hard way, where we've had 2 people sent off in consecutive games. Which, has that happened before? I know I've just mentioned Les Payne, and he likes to dig through the archives. Les, if you do end up watching this, tell us, has a Rotherham team ever had 2 players sent off in consecutive games?
I'll be honest, Danny, I can't agree with that. I can't agree with that at all. I can't agree that it's down to our lack of discipline. I genuinely don't. The only lack of discipline there for me could be argued was the Fred waving the card thing. None of the other decisions, in my view, again, it's just my opinion.
Oh no, I'm not saying it's like
or result from not learning our lessons or not.
I don't think it's a case of not having a lack of discipline. I think it's a case of not knowing where the new lines are, if that makes sense, in the rule book.
I don't. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah. Move on.
Yeah.
Yeah. I get you both. I think I get you both. Talk about the game, Mick. First half, there's only really 50 minutes to talk about, really. Yeah. We can talk about post record, I suppose, but the first 5 minutes, was a really weird first 5 minutes because Blackburn had. I'd love to see the stats of the first 5 minutes. It must have been 80% possession to Blackburn. But they didn't hurt us. We sort of stood off and let them have the ball without any damage. It was a really weird first 5-10 minutes.
I think I said it on the post-match as well. The Blackburn are going to be another one of these teams that are all style and no substance. Or bits and pieces of style and no substance. And certainly for that first opening 5-10 minutes, it's exactly what they were. They played some pretty passes and some pretty balls and did nothing with it. Nothing at all. And those pretty passes and pretty movement was the downfall, weren't it? You know?
Yeah.
And I say it again and again and again. I don't know why teams do it. You know, I know that they're trying to make it all look nice and sweet and tippy-tappy, but they're not good enough. It's as simple as that. They're not good enough to do it for 90 minutes. Certainly in this league, they might, we've got Leicester come down, Southampton come down. Southampton with Russell Martin or whatever it is. I'm sure they'll be playing it, although they obviously didn't do it yesterday. They'll be playing it all the time, tippy-tapping it all over the place. And then Blackburn tried it and failed spectacularly. For me, certainly in the first 10 to 15 minutes anyway.
Yeah, they did. I thought they did. Also, Danny, they had the penalty incident, which is another thing that we didn't talk about. I thought it was a penalty. But we rode us luck a little bit there from that sense that they missed the penalty. We could have gone 1-0, which to me would have been unfair, to be honest with you. I don't think they were ever really in the game to the red card, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm inclined. I mean, I've only heard it through audio and stuff, but with the penalty thing, it were definitely for Christ's sake, of course we have, But I have managed to watch the bits and pieces of the penalty back, and it's 2 absolute howlers from Blackburn to first hit the post, which is like the hardest bit of the net to hit during a penalty. You've got this big thing of like fabric in front of you, plus a goalkeeper, and you hit the thing that's about 6 inch wide. I think it is on one corner, and then it rebounds very, very kindly for Blackburn. And watching it back, it's like, how's he missed? It's ended up closer to the corner flag. Like, how's he done that? It's like, maybe it's come to their player a bit too quickly, like too early in the game, and that's why they've squandered it. But you just have to be burying them. If it falls that kindly, that's 1-0 to Blackburn every day of week, apart from on Saturday, apparently. Yeah. But yeah, it's 2 absolute howlers from Blackburn, that. And from that point onwards, for the vast majority of the game, we ran them off the park, really. Fred's goal was an absolute peach of a goal with his diving header, and a Dolphin just does a Dolphin things and scored another screamer. Well, I thought we were on course for another battering of Blackburn, if I'm being honest, but then Bobby Madley decided to pipe up, didn't he?
On the penalty, Neil Liversidge, if anybody wants to watch it back, he's recorded it on YouTube. Nicholas Skidmore, definite penalty. Splasher, Scrum definite penalty. Mike Miller says definite penalty. But even if, interestingly, if he had scored, the guy who followed it up made a mess of it. He was encroaching by a couple of yards. Interesting to see if that would have been. Well, it clearly wasn't picked up. But anyway, and what you just mentioned about the overplaying, Mick, that's what caused the first goal.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't tell you what that guy was thinking. I mean, he'd missed tallest bloke. He didn't see the tallest bloke in the pitch in a Dauphin. And the Dauphin couldn't believe his luck. And if there's one bloke you don't want to give it there, a bouncing ball 12 yards out, do not give it to Hakeem Dauphin.
He was too busy thinking about when he's going to get his the next highlights in his hair, weren't he? Travelling back to 1981 to get some more highlights. Yeah, you don't get Hakeem Dauphin that opportunity, and then it was almost Middlesbrough-esque in the sense that before he'd even pulled his foot back, he knew exactly where they were going.
Yeah.
And to be fair to goalkeeper, as the ball made contact with the back of the net, he then started his dive. That's how. Yeah. And I keep saying it. You're not good enough to play the ball around the back consistently for 90 minutes. You are going to get caught out, and you did, and they did. So hopefully, everybody else that comes to New York Stadium will try the same thing. I really hope that they do. Unfortunately, that's not going to be the case, is it? But yeah, good goal, well taken, and Hakeem Dauphin, man reborn, isn't he?
Yeah. John Sousa says, could we just take a minute to appreciate how Matt Taylor's tenure has really brought Dauphin on as a player? He's brilliant, like a new signing.
Yeah.
I mean, yesterday I emphasised it again, Danny, because Hakeem Dauphin was signed as a sitter in terms of midfielder. But when we said my understanding was, at best he's box to box, but it was quite often a man who would just sit in that deep position and just pick things up a little bit. And then he played yesterday as almost a second striker. He's done that a few times where he's played as that second striker, and he's one of our biggest goal threats. Which who would have thought that 2 years ago?
Yeah, it is. I mean, this isn't an accidental partridge. This is fully intentional. He has got a traction engine of a right foot, hasn't he? But yeah, I mean, a few people have brought it up in the comments. A Dauphin is a different breed now that Matt Taylor's manager. He's playing quite a fair bit further forward. Like you say, he was signed as a sitter. He was almost like a backup to Barlasser. I was just like sort of sat behind your main midfield four sort of thing. And Dauphin just sort of sat there and was a bit more of a unit in that like little square occupier that he had. But with Matt Taylor, he plays in further forward. Like I say, sometimes he's even second striker when some players rotate positions and stuff. But it's just a completely different player to the one that we signed now. Like I say, he's got a goal threat on him as well. He's an aerial threat from corners and set pieces. But his main attribute, shall we say, at least from a goal scoring perspective, is he just likes to linger on the edge of the box, like 5 yards or so outside the 18-yard box, sort of sets himself and just punts it, and it just catches everybody out by pure pace. And he's done it loads and loads of times, and no one's worked it out yet, thank Christ. But yeah, I'm so impressed with the Dauphin. To say was he signed whilst we were in League One?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was signed in League One, and he, for a little bit, really didn't get a sniff, did he?
No.
But now we're in the Championship. He's become such a crucial player. I'm so impressed with him. And I think he's one of the players now that may be the first name on the team sheet.
Yeah. Matt Taylor said the Dauphin does this on a daily basis. And that's why when it came to him, I was never in doubt. As soon as that ball came to Dauphin, that was going in. If it was Hugel, I might not have been confident with the striker in that position. But as soon as it came to a Dauphin, right, once he sets himself, there is no keeper in the world that stops that. It's just unstoppable. His technique is sensational. It's just a great technique as well as anything else in terms of how he hits the ball. I'd like to watch it.
There are two certains now with Rotherham players, and it's Cafu's going to shoot if he gets a free kick, and a Dauphin's going to smack it if he's within 20 yards. Yeah. But sorry, Mike, what were you saying? Just carry on.
The club should do a feature on a Dauphin practicing those training. Just watch him just nailing every single one. And I bet most of them go in because he's just so good at it.
I don't think they will, because it'll catch Victor swearing again.
Probably. Make the second goal, and this should have been the nail in the coffin. Realistically, had the game continued with 11v11, this would have been the nail in the coffin.
Yeah.
What did you like best? Did you like the wonderful ball by Cafu? I mean, the sensational ball by Cafu, or a diving header? Because I do love a diving header.
That's like asking who your favourite child is, isn't it? I have got one, by the way, but anyway. I thought the delivery was just sublime.
Yeah.
It was absolutely perfect. You know, it just dipped at the right time. It curled in the right way, and it was absolutely perfect. The defenders, not one of them had an opportunity, had a chance of clearing it, and the finish was just fantastic.
Yeah,
it was outstanding. It was as a passage of play. I accepted a set piece. We only score from set pieces apparently. That one for Sky, they'll be able to show that if we're ever on, won't they? Yeah, it was outstanding, absolutely outstanding. So there's not a lot else to say, is there, really, on it? You know, it was such a good goal and such a great delivery, and then that's pretty much all you can say about it.
Such a joyous moment, and it lasted less than a minute because of what happened next. But it was just great. Let's talk about Onyedinma for a minute, Danny, because he came in, and I think a little bit we didn't really know what to expect. I think he'd been playing wing back for Luton, and he'd not played masses for Luton, but he played a significant part in their promotion. He's really showing himself to be a player. I mean, I didn't expect him to score a diving header like that.
No, I didn't. To be fair, he's sort of pulled that rabbit out of a hat, hasn't he? But that is really us in the Championship. Like we've all said, from our level up to professional pundit level, how hard the Championship looks this season, and Rotherham would have to pull some rabbits out of hats. And by the looks of things, Onyedinma is a rabbit out of a hat himself, and he's pulled his own rabbit out of a hat with that diving header. And if he can chip in with a few goals like that and a few hopefully easier goals to score that eventually don't lead to a booking celebrating, then that's going to be some player for us, into some player. And I'm still not entirely sure. Did he play in a front three, or is it like, what was our formation? Because everybody had trouble working it out, I think.
It was basically a 4-3-3 with Wiles and Onyedinma as your prongs.
Right, gotcha. So it was like a 4-3, sort of 2-1, but that 2 was like quite wide, sort of thing, maybe. And Hugo's your man up top.
Basically, sort of. Yeah, but Onyedinma and Wiles were a bit further forward. They were more like last season's 4-3-3.
Right. Okay. Well, from that, my takeaway is that we play a lot better with a back four than a back three. Yeah. Because from what I was hearing from Matt Goodwin and Les Payne, we were playing with a hell of a lot more freedom with a back four. But yeah, just go back to Onyedinma. Like we saw flashes. Like I said this before, we've seen flashes every single time of what we are capable of. And until it got sent off, it almost like all the flashes came together against Blackburn. Yeah. Like from that middle bit where it's like after they missed the penalty to the red card, that section was like everything's firing on all cylinders. That is us at our, not, I wouldn't say peak, because I still think we can do better. But like that's everything mixing together nicely. And if we play like that over the full, let's call it 100 minutes now because we're all modern football. If we play over the full 100 minutes like that, or at least for the vast majority like that, we'll be all right against some of the teams that are like the forces in this division. And if anything, I'm looking forward to the games against, say, Leicester, because they won't expect it from us.
Yeah. I agree. Nicholas Skidmore says, I want to say the lads put all they had in, which I agree. I thought Bramall defended well, the young lad Dexter defended well, and Blackett was unreal. So again, Mick, until they made the substitutions, again after the red card, I thought we defended excellently. We talked on the last episode with us three and Joy, that are we going to see 3 at the back? Are we going to see 4 at the back? I was like, close problem because you can't get Sean Morrison in. But we defended really, really well up until when they made the substitutions on 68th minute when Gallagher came on, when they just threw about 6 strikers on and just didn't bother defending because they didn't need to. And that's the impact of the red card, not to go back to it.
Yeah.
That's the impact of the red card. They don't have to worry about the midfield anymore. So
Yeah.
because they were able to throw an extra body forward, until then, that defence looked really, really good. Blackett was sensational, I thought.
Yeah, I thought they were outstanding, a lot of them. And we do look better with the four, there's no doubt about it. It gives us more freedom going forward for some reason. I assume because of the way that Matt Taylor wants us to play the game. We were excellent. I thought, like you said, Tyler Blackett was very, very good. Cam Humphreys was Cam Humphreys.
Wouldn't give it a penalty away.
Yeah, soft. Very, very, very soft. But let's not go into that. He gave the penalty away. He was responsible for having his leg fallen over. So Cohen Bramall was excellent. His pace got him out of trouble a few times. He's obviously very, very keen to get forward, but he's able to do that and get back as well. And Lembasika, I really do like him. He's a 19-year-old kid. He's a kid, and he's coming to the championship and he's mixing it with anybody who will have it. He's
not scared, is he? He wasn't scared to get involved.
I think that's basically what I'm trying to say. It's just there is no fear there, and he got caught out of position a couple of times, and had to be sort of bailed out a little bit. But he will learn with that. It's his second game for us, 1.5 games realistically, isn't it? So
you see him tiring though towards end, couldn't you?
Yeah, he is a prospect, and I can see why he's with a Premier League club. So I thought defensively we were excellent. Midfield, I thought were excellent. We talked about this in the game yesterday. I don't know whether you're going to come on to this, but I think the only disappointment for me in the game was Ben Wiles. I felt he was just completely off it. He looked, at the end of the game, he looked absolutely exhausted. Now, I don't know whether he's not fit, and that's why his head's down a little bit, or whether he's on his way out of the club. I don't know. It could be that. It could be either of those two things, or something in between those two extremes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. He just, until we went down to 10 men, and then he really got stuck in.
Yeah, he did. To be fair,
it was almost as if that kind of riled him and got him going a little bit. But up until that point, he was pretty ineffective. In fact, very ineffective, unfortunately.
Completely ineffective. Yeah, I was going to let him off tonight, but now he brought it up.
I mean, listen, it's not a criticism of him because he may well be unfit. He's also got a dead leg as well that he was suffering from the game in midweek. So it's not a big deal, but I don't know. There's something that's sort of nagging away at me, thinking, I think he might be on his way out. It's
a body language thing, but the thing with Ben Wiles, it's a body language thing. That maybe was body language, but it don't give off any positive vibes.
And when he's on fire, he really does.
Yeah, I agree. But I think that's the positive, Danny, that we went against Blackburn and they won the first game, and I'm not expecting them to pull up any trees. I'm not expecting them to be playoff contenders. But there's only one player that didn't have a bad game in Ben Wiles. So you look at that and saying, well, we can mix this. We can have a go here. There's no reason to be scared. We should have 3 points, but we haven't. We've got one. But we could have easily won that game against and made them look poor. That's the thing. That's the difference, really. I suppose. I know we beat them 4 last season, but that's the difference from last season, that we didn't make many teams look bad. I didn't think.
No, we didn't. I mean, well, still 1 point's better than none, isn't it?
Absolutely.
But yeah, I mean, I know we still need a few signings through the door. Like, there's one that's like on the cusp of being imminent now.
Yeah.
And I think even after that, we still need 3 or 4 to come in. But we still have a lot of ways to play, if that makes sense. Whereas I think last season, because of the squad Matt Taylor inherited and where he tried to tweak it where he couldn't how do I put it? He still couldn't really put his stamp on it. And I think that's why last season we were either incredibly good at beating teams or incredibly poor against teams. Like the main contrast I feel is say Millwall to Blackburn.
Yeah.
You know, like contrast them two games which are very close together. That's sort of the vibe of the season, really. Whereas with this season, like, all right, admittedly we had an absolute stinker against Stoke, but then we've turned it around again quickly against Blackburn. And yeah, like you say, it's a team that's probably going to be knocking around 9th, I'd say, this season. Yeah. And and for a spell we did make them look average, which I think is again probably going to be us this season. We're going to have some absolute stinkers against some teams. I hold my hands up and admit that, but hopefully it leans more in the way of Blackburn, where we can make teams that are more established championship teams look bang average against us. And I think in the longer run, the more quality signings we make, or hopefully make before the end of the window and in January later on, that's how we can just keep building on it. But yeah, I'm looking forward to the first win. If I'm being honest, like I've had a premonition, lads. Right, the first win is actually going to be a scrappy 1-0, where we say we absolutely played awful and didn't deserve to win.
It's like Stoke last year.
Yeah, exactly. But we're going to look back and just go, we played so much better against Blackburn and only got a point out of it.
Yeah.
But I don't know which team it's going to be against or whatever, but it will be a scrappy 1-0 against somebody, and we will go maybe Sunderland. We'll have to wait and see. But it will be a scrappy 1-0, and we'll say, how have we won that? And then the next week, we'll play someone off the park and lose. That is my premonition. That is legit going to be the vibe for this season. But hopefully, like I said, with those signings, we can keep building and building, add a bit more depth to the team, because unfortunately, I actually agree with Second Tier Podcast on this one. We do need a little bit more depth, only because the trend that we're setting. Well, no. Only because the trend that we're setting at the minute is that we're having a player sent off every week. So we need a lot more players than we've given the same credit for already. No, sorry.
We can't start with 12.
Well, we could try. We
need bodies. But Kim Miller says Green, Eves, and Hall should be back next week. It's a full week. We ain't got no midweek games to mess around, which is good. Dave Lawton just says on Ben Wiles, I think we're being harsh. He's back from a serious injury, played 3 games in a week, probably carrying an injury from midweek. Yeah, and no, we're not trying to be harsh on him, but we've got to.
I think he's probably right, but
I mean, you can't knock his effort, Wilesy, to be fair, because I think after the game he was legit on the floor and just spent. So for me, I can't knock his effort. We
could probably spend the full episode on Ben Wiles again, but he didn't play very well. That's all you can say about Ben Wiles, and we could try and interpret his body language one way or another. But he stood out as the only one that didn't perform, as I suppose the point. But yeah, you're right. He's injured. He's coming back from a long-term injury, and he had a dead leg. So certainly not trying to dig him out anymore. It was just he stood out as a poor performance, sadly. Mick, again, put your hindsight glasses on. Take your normal glasses off. Put your hindsight glasses on. Was there anything? We'll finish on this, and we'll maybe mention a signing that's coming up. But was there anything that you thought we should have done in that last 20 minutes, half an hour, that would have given us the win? Not from a defensive point of view. Would you have stuck with 4 at the back and put an extra body in the middle? Was 5 the right, or was it just inevitable because of the bodies that they were able to attack with?
It had to be, didn't it? You know, we had no choice. We had no choice but to defend and to defend as high up the pitch as we possibly could, but with as many players as we could. You know, we were put in that position. So I don't have any. I know a lot of people disagree with this, but for me, I thought we gave it the best that we possibly could. You know, we were always going to be under the cosh from that point onwards, particularly when they got the first goal. You know, I think up until them scoring that first goal, I thought we were dealing with them reasonably well. Because again, you know, their balls into the box were pretty aimless. You know, they were virtually all too long or never beating the first man. So yeah, they were putting us under pressure, but realistically, at that point, I don't think they were causing us a problem. The problem was always going to come when they scored, if they scored, and of course they scored from a corner that shouldn't have been a corner. So that makes it. But the point I'm making is that makes it more frustrating for us as supporters, but it also makes it more difficult for the players as well, because you know it's another kind of injustice, if you like. And it puts you on the back foot because you feel as though, look, we're not going to get anything out of this because everything's against us. You know what I mean?
Mentally, yeah.
It gives you a knock.
And it was unlucky. The goal was unlucky. The deflection. Without the deflection, Victor probably it didn't look like much of a shot, did it?
No, absolutely. I thought they did exceptionally well under the circumstances, and I can't believe that we sort of came out at 90 minutes happy that we got a draw out of it. So disappointing, so soul destroying, really. That was the case, because had the sending off not happened, I'm convinced it would have been it would have certainly been. There'd have been another goal for us in that, at least another goal, because that second goal just knocked the stuffing out of them a little bit, and then they never really had any idea, did they? You know, it's only because they were playing against a player less that they were able to pass the ball about more effectively, because they weren't being closed down and weren't being pressed. So, no, I was happy with the performance overall.
There's a few people mentioned the change to 5 at the back. Well, just pick this one out because it's the most recent one, Shelley. Yes, we got stuck. We should have stuck with 4 at the back. Morrison isn't quick enough. We got battered the moment we went to 5. What's to say we couldn't catch them on the way? We couldn't get out of our half. And we went to 5 at the back. I'm just looking back at it now. In the 62nd minute, Sean Morrison came on in the 62nd minute. They didn't score until the 75th. So you're talking almost 15 minutes where they didn't batter us. They didn't batter us for that period of the game. They had loads of the ball, and they're always going to have loads of the ball. Even with 11 men, they had quite a lot of the ball. I don't think the 5 at the back was the reason it went to 2-2, to be honest with you. I think mixed right momentum's a crucial thing. Once they get 1, they get 2. I think that was always going to happen. Sometimes it's difficult. Sometimes there's not much you can do. But there you go. Nicholas, we're not knocking the effort. Maybe at the time we could have kept it a bit more. Yeah, possibly, but one-man advantage. It's a massive issue. Jen, great save from Victor.
Yes.
What a stunning save from Victor.
It's just standard procedure these days, though, isn't it? Victor pulling off worldies, isn't it?
It took an hour and 2 minutes to mention that, but what a save that was. Victor being Victor. It made up for letting go for a corner in first half, to be fair. You know, when he mishandled it.
Oh, yeah.
We'll let him off.
Yeah.
Good news is Christ Tiahi looks like it's done. Chris looks like it's done. It should be. It's finally been freed. The work permit sounds like it's going to be permitted this week. So hopefully be in training and certainly be in contention for the game on Saturday.
It's a shame, really. I was really enjoying the IOFC's memes about the Home Office with it.
Exactly. Yeah. But he'll find something else. We all know the IOFC. He will find something else.
He's just put up today the Bobby Madley show reel.
Yeah, he's been busy today, hasn't he?
Yeah.
That's what I've been in pub. I can't understand why he's spent his Sunday afternoon doing things like that. I mean, I didn't do any research for this show, so why should he be doing it?
And Matt Till is confident. It seems confident in the Paul Davis article. There will be another loanee in this week. No idea who that is. I don't have any murmurings or whispers on that one. So I don't even know position.
I'm telling you, it's Scott McTominay because he's in Ollie Rathbun's comments on Instagram.
I think that's it. I feel a bit better, to be honest with you. We should have done this last night.
I think if we'd done this last night, there would have been a hell of a lot more swearing. If I'm being honest, Matt would have to have sat there with a button that just went beep.
Anything else? Any last call for anything that needs to be mentioned? Want to mention? Oh, I've got something. The prediction league's live.
Oh yeah,
we have our first 3 points on the board, and it's from me.
Yeah, I can fire a minute here, right? Because until that stupid decision by Madley, it was 2-0, which was my suggestion. Right? So don't let me get angry with Madley again. I want a point for that.
No. Me and Bobby had an arrangement, all right?
I can see that,
well, thank you very much. And I also, if you don't watch it, we go on the Just Joe, they do the White Rose Rivals. I also predicted Wednesday to lose. I also predicted Huddersfield to lose 1-0, and they predicted Leeds to lose, Birmingham to win. You can thank me later, John, in the comments. I had a great weekend on predictions, but there you go. Anything else, you two?
What about Kieran McGuckin's league debut?
League debut, consecutive appearances, one in the cup, one in the league. Exciting that you're getting these people that have been trusted to come and play for the club. I'm really happy with it. I thought he did all right as well as he could have done in the circumstances anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's going to go quite far for us, McGuckin. Matt Taylor seems to see something in him that I think he sort of had a track record of developing youth players at Exeter and that. And I've said this before, our youth setup is nowhere near as extensive as Exeter's, but he's seen a few shining lights and he's put a few out on loan, fair enough, but maybe he's kept McGuckin here for the time being because we still needed another striker. But so far, McGuckin's put in some really solid performances.
He's done himself he's done himself loads of favours by potentially getting an EFL loan. If I'm a League Two club looking at him, I'm thinking there's something there. There's certainly the work rate, which is really something you want to look at. He's obviously got the skills, or he won't be in the academy. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Can I just? I think this is all good stuff and everything else, but this one from Sam is causing me a bit of a concern.
Oh no!
Closing. So what?
Where are we going to park?
What? That's bad news for anybody. Yeah, that's not good. Anyway, sorry.
Anyway,
shall we do a quick update on our Super 6 prediction league before we all sign off?
Very, very quick, because Mick will need toilet in a minute.
Yeah. So after our first game week, I'd like to say well done to Graham Snaith, who's top of the league, joint top of the league with 14 points, with Amanda Booth and Jason Hutchinson, Carl Fryer, Paul Scott, and Simon Thorne. So you're all joint first at the minute with 14 points, and I'm 16th with 9.
I'm 10th. I'm the top New York Talk participant.
Yes, you are. And then where's Mick?
You play, Mick?
I'm here, mate.
Mick, you're 44th, mate. With
he got 0, didn't he?
No, he got 2.
Well done.
There you go.
Yeah.
So remember, everyone, talk about this mention on Thursday. People remember to put it on. Go on.
So those 2 points might be important come end of season. As long as I get to 50, that's all I'm bothered about.
There we go. Thank you everybody doing with us. It's an hour and something. We tried not to moan too much. I know we did a bit, but we try not to moan too much. And I hope you all feel better a bit. Good therapy. I certainly do. Please make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't done already. If you want to go back and watch the instant reaction last night when me and Mick were a bit more riled up, that's available to still watch.
I got told off for that today.
Did you?
My wife watched it and she said I was incredibly negative.
I mean, it was hard to be
She doesn't know you,
but that's another story.
She's met you before, hasn't she?
Yes, she has.
Making sure. Thank you very much. The scouting report that we did that was out on Friday. We will do another one of those. We've got another one booked in with a Sunderland fan, which will be out again on Friday. As we look at their terrible start, they're on 0 points out of 2 games, surprisingly. So we'll find out what's happened at Sunderland, and hopefully we can pick up our first ever win at the Stadium of Light, which will be in the light for once. Subscribe on YouTube, follow us on Twitter, follow us on Facebook. If you're listening on iTunes or Spotify, make sure that you have subscribed on there as well and given us a 5-star rating. Thank you, everybody. We really appreciate you being with us on these episodes, because otherwise it would be a couple of blokes talking crap. We do talk crap, but there's people with us as well. We were all, I feel like we're all in a room together. Thank you very much for being with us, and we will be back on Thursday. Thank you, Mick. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
And thank you, Danny. It's been lovely.
No worries.
And up the Millers.
Yes, up the Millers.
It's a Wales through a goal, slots it beyond Fodringham, and the Millers are in front in the South Yorkshire derby. And for the first time in 42 years, Rotherham United win at Bramall Lane. On the edge of the box for Doffin, he can hit them, and he does. Doffin has scored an absolute screamer for Rotherham United. Rotherham United have secured their championship status for next season.